Hi, class. Okay, here we go. Chapter 16. Let's see what happened after he got into the accident yesterday in chapter 15. I hope that you are reading and seeing it online. And while we read today, just listen. If you want to draw anything while we read, you can. Or if you have a Post-it note handy, you can write down some questions. You will have a discussion guide question on Schoology after. Here we go. Chapter 16. Voicemail. Your call has been forwarded to an automated voice messaging system. Sheila is not available. At the tone, please record your message. When you're finished recording, hang up or press for one or more options. Beep. Grandma. Hey, Sheila and Ernest. This is Mama. I'm guessing right about now that you're all headed up to Jamaica. Listen, we had a little bit of an accident. Ernie did, but don't freak out. He's okay. He's fine. Just give me a call when you all get there. And please, don't worry. He's going to be fine. Okay, bye-bye. Love you. 3 teeth in a beer bottle is a weird thing to look at, but it's weirder when your grandmother takes that bottle, tips it so that all the teeth roll out into a glass of milk. Yes, milk. And then gives that milk to her youngest grandson to hold in the back seat of her car with strict directions not to spill it, as she rushes him and her other grandson to the hospital. A dentist would have made more sense, but it was the 4th of July. No dentist's office open. Jeannie stared at the teeth. He couldn't really see them anymore because they were submerged in milk, but he could still stare into the glass, concentrating on not spilling it, as if he were carrying the Holy Grail. It was better than staring at Ernie, sitting in the front seat, holding an ice pack on his mouth. Grandma said that the ice would keep the swelling down. Everything Jeannie wanted to do to help, he knew he probably shouldn't, and it wasn't a good idea. Like saying anything. I mean, what was there to say? I'm mad at myself for wanting you to learn to shoot. I'm mad at Grandpa for making you do it. What Grandma made clear was that she had laid into Grandpa in their bedroom before they left the house. She was telling him exactly how she was feeling. I knew this was a bad idea, Brooke. I knew it, Grandma said, her voice shaky, coming from behind the old wooden door. Tess had already left with her father. She had looked so excited when Jeannie burst through the door with Grandpa, standing in front of that big old birthday cake, clearly ready to brag about it, ready to hear Ernie brag about shooting. But instead of smiles and laughter, she got blood, tears, and teeth in a bottle. And then Crab hauling her home quick, fast. It was an accident, Mary. He'll be okay. But it didn't have to happen, Grandma went on, fuming. That's what you don't get. The boy didn't want to learn how to shoot. He was scared, and you knew it. I knew it. Hell, even Crab knew it. Grandpa mustn't have responded fast enough because Grandma barreled on. But you pushed him. You always do. You pushed him like you always do. You pushed and you pushed. I didn't push the boy, Mary. Yes, you did, Brooke. Grandma shouted. Then she brought her voice back down. You did, just like you pushed wood. Is your grandson a man now, Brooke? Is he? Then came the jingle of the car keys, and Grandma swept Jeannie and Ernie out the door. As Grandma tore down the bumpy hill, through one then the other winding roads to get to the hospital, Jeannie did his best to hold on to the glass of milk. Ernie did his best to not look at himself in the side view mirror. Grandma did her best to keep her eyes on Ernie and Jeannie, both checking Jeannie in her rear view and glancing over to the passenger seat, occasionally patting Ernie on the knee. She knew that the radio was on, but she changed the station from gospel to hip-hop, which on any other day would have been totally cool. But today, Ernie couldn't even bob his head. Neither could Jeannie. Today, rap music meant nothing. 20 minutes later, Grandma wheeled the Buick into the hospital parking lot. Inside, people were sitting in chairs with purple diamonds on them, almost every person leaning on the armrests, their chins planted in their palms, their eyes focused on the TV in the corner of the room. We're still hours away from the fireworks show down here on the fairground, but people are already coming in droves. Come on down and claim your spot on the lawn and get ready for America's brightest night. The newscaster flipped a burger on the grill before they cut to commercial. A man in the waiting room coughed. It sounded like there was broken glass in his throat. A young woman held a bloody towel over her hand. Another older woman sat beside her, flipping through a magazine. She glanced up at the Harrises as they came into the lobby. Hi, my grandson knocked his teeth out. Grandma told the receptionist, straight to the point. Fill this out, please, said the lady. Not nice, not mean. She probably said the same things 50 times a day. Jeannie figured that she might wanted to spend her day working. She probably didn't want to spend her day working on the 4th of July. What's the wait? Grandma asked. Grandma took the clipboard that the lady slid across the desk. Her voice was still stinging with anger at Grandpop. She glanced around the room and then added 10, 15 minutes. Ma'am, I'm not sure, said the lady. She should have said forever, because that's what it felt like for Jeannie. He was doing his best to not spill the teeth milk while Grandma filled out Ernie's paperwork. Hope they call us soon, Grandma said. Grandma patted Jeannie's knee to comfort him. They will. Jeannie sighed. Just seems like we've been here for a month of Sundays. Mary? A voice called from across the room. It was a doctor. Mary Harris, is that you? I haven't seen you since you retired. Grandma, you know her? Jeannie asked. The answer came immediately as the doctor walked over to Grandma and they went into a hug fest. Oh my goodness, you look so good, Mary. You too, Grandma said. Boys, this is Dr. Maris. I've been knowing her for a long time. Matter of fact, I remember when she started here. This is where you used to work? Jeannie asked. You got it. 30 years in nursing right here. This old lady's seen a whole lot, even worse than what's going on with you, son. He kept his gaze on the floor as she rubbed his back. Way worse, she said. Mary, who are these handsome babies? Dr. Maris asked, beaming at them. These are my grandbabies. Jeannie. Hi, Jeannie. And Ernie. Ernie's had a bit of the accident. Nothing from Ernie. Normally, Grandma would have checked in on him about being respectful, especially to elders, but not this time. Dr. Maris's smile disappeared as she went immediately into doctor mode. Must be a hospital thing. What happened here? Well, Ernie, he's 14. Today's his birthday. He was learning to shoot, and the kickback hit him in the mouth, and it knocked a few of his teeth out. Oh, no, Dr. Maris said, hissing as if she knew how painful it was. Do you have the teeth? Jeannie held the glass of milk up that he was making like a toast. Nice to see you haven't forgotten the tricks, Mary, Dr. Maris said, and now Grandma beamed. Girl, I'd be lying if I said I hadn't lost a step, but I'm still pretty sharp. Grandma ran her hand along her head, brushing her hair back, kind of cool. Listen, your family around? Come on back. No, I'm headed to lunch now. Mary, lunch ain't going nowhere. Come on. Dr. Maris led them through to the white, hand-sanitized, beeping world of emergency rooms. Grandma waved at and spoke with people that were some of her old friends. Okay, son, have a seat right here, the doctor said, nodding to a bed and yanking a curtain to create a fabric wall around them. She took the glass from Jeannie. Now, I might be able to replant his teeth, but I'll splint them and I'll make sure that they hold steady until they've stabilized into his gums. It could take a while, but it won't be pretty. And you're still going to want to take him to an orthodontist, especially to make sure that things are healing properly once his teeth are secure. Grandma nodded as Dr. Maris slipped her hands in the plastic gloves. She poured the milk slowly into a plastic bin, making sure that the teeth stayed in the glass, then tapped the glass on the palm of her teeth, came rolling out into her hand. She set them in a small metal dish, examined them closely, and finally she gave a little nod. Ernie, I need you to help me out here. Be brave. Lift your head for me. Ernie did. The doctor pressed her thumb against his chin, opened his mouth. Head back. Little more, she coaxed him. She shined a small light in his mouth, lifting his top lip, studying his gum line and the sockets where the teeth once were. At least the bleeding had stopped. Still, Jeannie looked away. Grandma patted him on the knee again to try to calm him down. Okay, 2 of them can go back in. Your centrals, as you know them, your 2 front teeth. The doctor looked pleased. She turned the mini flashlight off, but the left lateral is chipped. A piece of the tooth is still in there. So in this case, you're going to have to go up to the dentist, but I'm going to go ahead and re-implant the others. From the corner of his eye, Jeannie watched as the doctor grabbed one of Ernie's teeth and pinched it, picked up the pieces of the and pinched it between her 2 fingers. It reminded Jeannie of how he had picked up the pieces of that broken wheel, and how he hoped Ernie's tooth didn't slip from the doctor's grip, hit the floor, and roll somewhere never to be seen again. Ernie, this is going to hurt a bit, she said. Ernie immediately winced and tensed, his hands closing into tight fists as the doctor pushed his first tooth back into his gum like a plug into a socket. Then the other. She glued brackets to them. She attached those to what she'd called the lateral to the right, and the upper left cuspid, which is the tooth that looks like a fang. Jeannie watched, fascinated. It was kind of like building a model car, connecting pieces to other pieces, gluing things together to make them work, repairing something that was accidentally broken. Now the doctor was attaching wires to the brackets, and suddenly, Ernie, the boy with the perfect smile, had braces, sort of. Okay, this is the middle of the chapter. I'm going to pause right here, and I'm going to come back for the second part of chapter 16 in a little bit. Thanks, you guys. Think about the story when we get back.